Hello, I am Buffy the Man here, and today I'm talking about an older movie called Titanic. Not the James Cameron one, but the one from 1943. It's basically a German propaganda film, and it was commissioned to be done so by the Nazi propaganda ministry, Joseph Goebbels. Goebbels. I'm not sure I said that right, but this movie had a $4 million budget, and if you add the current currency today with 4 million to 2012, it'd be roughly around $180 million. That is $20 million short of the James Cameron Titanic movie budget. And so basically, it's a propaganda film against capitalism in Great Britain. And they wanted to show it, so they decided to make a movie about one of the worst disasters to happen to this country was the Titanic. But there is a long background story to this that everyone should watch before or after they see this movie. It's called Nazi Titanic, and they showed it in the History Channel. I would highly recommend watching it. And there is a YouTube video of that documentary. I'm not sure if I can post it in my descriptions or not, but it's just look up Nazi Titanic, and you'll find the movie and the documentary. So give it a watch because, like I said, the background story behind this movie is a long, long one, and I'm just rather talk about the movie itself. So it basically is like one of the first Titanic movies ever, and it pretty much starts out with England talking about how much money the Titanic's going to make them, and they're laughing about it. So they decide to speed up through an ice field to get to America faster, and the only German officer on there named First Officer Pearson, and he's played by a guy named Hans Nielsen. I'm not sure I said that right either. So you can look it up later, but he's pretty much the hero of the film. They are they just put him in there just because it shows Germans are courageous and knowledgeable, and they prove this in this movie when he goes to Captain Smith in Ismay and says, "You can't see through ice fields because what we see on top is not at the bottom," and he gives measurements, and he's all of a sudden expert in ice fields, and they pretty much ignore him. So of course they still speed through, and the iceberg. He tries to get off the Titanic, and on his way out, he hears this little girl screaming for her mommy. He breaks down the door, picks her up, says, "I'll find your mommy," and leaves with her. And he gets off the Titanic with her, swims to a lifeboat, where he watches the Titanic sink. Mind you, this is 1943, so the ship sank in a hole. So it was no breaking up because that's what they thought. The Titanic sank in one piece, not two. So he testifies at the hearings in England, saying there has to be accountability pretty much for what happened, and they ruled that it was an act of nature and no one's fault, and they can't blame Captain Smith because he's dead and can't defend himself. This angers Pearson, and he says pretty much that their capitalism is going to be their undoing. It's a 85-minute long movie that I happened to find at an Army surplus store. He told me it was rare. I don't know how rare it is. I just bought it because it seemed like an interesting movie to have for my collection. Now, Now, this now other thing you need to know about this movie is it was released November 10th, 1943, and at this time it was limited release because the civilians had like relatives that drowned, so they limited the release to certain territories Germany had, and it was a success. So, and it was one of the films captured, and it was released, but limited release. So, I'm not sure how it got DVD, who did it and why, but it's an interesting movie to watch, and I would recommend watching it, and the documentary that goes with it, the Nazi Titanic documentary. But for being a Nazi propaganda film, it wasn't too bad. It's really, it was not too bad of a movie. It was good acting and stuff like that, and it's kind of laughable at parts, but it was a good watch. I'm glad I bought it. It's a blind buy for me. So, and then interesting part about this is they used parts of this movie for our nights to remember. They used like four scenes, short scenes. Two scenes when they're on calm water, and two brief clips of flooding in the engine room, which is quite interesting, really, that they did that. But and it's it's a good watch. If you don't mind subtitles, I would say watch this. I don't mind subtitles at all because I watch anime and I can watch the subtitles no problem. But the movie itself is pretty good. I I watched it a couple times since I got it, and I will watch it again. And I recommend having you guys watch it because it's a good part of history that we should know about the propaganda films. This is like one of the biggest ones that were out there, and the history behind the actual making and after the making of the movie is interesting. And it's all covered in a documentary. So watch the Nazi Titanic documentary. Just search YouTube, it's on there somewhere. So also 5 stars. I give this 4 out of 5. It's a good movie, despite German propaganda. So if you look beyond that, it's a decent watch. So that's my review for Titanic 1943. Thank you for watching. Peace out.